what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a Hawkeye statue. It turns out that I should have made him a really long time ago when I was busy making all of my other Avengers statues. By the way, I have tutorials for most of the Avengers characters. I will leave a link in the cards and in the description, just in case you guys missed those and you'd like to make your very own collection of Avengers statues. They make a really cool set that we're now adding Hawkeye to. So without any further ado, if you want to make Hawkeye, here's what you're going to need. You will need some blue stained clay, some light blue stained clay, grab white stained clay, some grey stained clay, then grab purple wool, magenta wool, black, dark grey, and finally grab yourself some white wool. And once you have each one of those materials right there, and once you've figured out where you want to make it, I'll be making it right here. You're going to want to kick off your Hawkeye with this sequence of blocks in a row on the floor. Do 1 blue clay, then 2 light blue, 2 blue clay, 2 light blue, 1 blue clay. And that is what you want to have for the base row of your Hawkeye. Once you've got that taken care of, this is what you want to do for the next 4 rows. So starting from the left hand side, do 1 purple, 2 magenta, 2 purple, 2 magenta, 1 purple. And like I said, that's for 4 rows, so that'll be the first, second, third, fourth, and now we just want to do the exact same thing to each one of those other blocks. So we're just raising all of those up by 3 until we have 4 rows. For the next row, do an entire row of purple wool. For the next 2 rows, do 1 dark grey, 2 black, 2 dark grey, 2 black, 1 dark grey. And like I said, that's for 2 rows, so do that 1 row and then add the exact same thing on top of it. For the next row, starting from the left hand side, do 1 dark grey, 2 magenta, 2 dark grey, 2 magenta, 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 1 black, 2 purple, 2 black, 2 purple, 1 black. For the next row, do 1 dark grey, 2 purple, 2 dark grey, 2 purple, 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 1 purple, 2 magenta, 2 purple, 2 magenta, 1 purple. And for the next row, do an entire row of purple wool. And once you've got that entire row of purple wool, you then out of the left and right hand sides of that row of purple want to do this sequence of blocks. Do 2 white clay followed by 2 black wool. So like I said, do that on the left and right hand side, just coming out like this. And what we've essentially done there is we've just marked out where the bottom of Hawkeye's arms are going to be. We won't be focusing on those until later, but it's good to have them there just because. Once you've done that to the left and right hand sides of your statue, remember 2 white clay, 2 black wool, we now want to go back to focusing on these 8 purple wool. So for the next row of Hawkeye's torso, do a single dark grey on the ends of the row, and then do magenta everywhere else. For the next row, starting from the left hand side, do 1 dark grey, 2 magenta, 2 black wool, 2 magenta, 1 dark grey. For the next 2 rows, do 1 dark grey, 2 purple, 2 black wool, 2 purple, 1 dark grey. And like I said, that's for 2 rows, so once you've done that to 1 row, do the exact same thing just above it. Once you've done those, you then for the next 2 rows want to do pretty much the exact same thing that you've just done, except instead of using purple, use magenta. So copy every single other block in that row 2 times going up, except instead of using purple, use magenta, like that. Once you've done those 2 rows, we now want to do the exact same thing again, except we want to rip out the purple again. So again, literally the exact same thing, except in the place of magenta, use purple instead. So you want to have this. Once you've done that, you then, for the next row, starting from the left, want to do 1 black wool, 2 magenta, 2 purple, 2 magenta, 1 black wool. For the next row, do 1 magenta, 1 purple, 1 magenta, 2 purple, 1 magenta, 1 purple, 1 magenta. And for the final row of Hawkeye's torso, do 1 purple, 1 magenta, 1 purple, 2 magenta, 1 purple, 1 magenta, 1 purple. And what you want to end up with is something that should look exactly like this. And this is exactly what you want to have for the front of your Hawkeye so far. Once you've reached this point right here, all you have to do now are Hawkeye's arms. So we're going to start with this right arm first of all. So just building left to right on top of this first row, do 1 black wool, then 1 white clay, 2 black wool. For the next 2 rows, do 2 solid rows of purple. Then do a row of magenta. Then do a row of white clay. Then 2 rows of purple. Then do 4 rows of white clay, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that should take us all the way up to the top. Very, very simple. That is what you want to have for Hawkeye's arm. Once you've done that on one side of the statue, you now want to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So coming all the way down to the first row again, starting from the left, we want to kick this off with 2 black wool, 1 white clay, 1 black wool, and now we've just got to build up all of those rows. So do 2 rows of purple, 1 row of magenta, 1 row of white clay, 2 rows of purple, then 4 rows of white clay. So just to take us all the way up to the top of the arm and give us the entire front of the statue. So once you finish both of those arms, you want to end up with something that should look exactly like this. Once you've got that entire front taken care of, you now want to move all the way around to the back of your statue, come all the way down to the bottoms of the feet, take out your blue clay and extend each end of the bottom of the feet out of the back of the statue by 3 with your blue clay. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and then connect each one of those third blocks together to form a U shape, like this. Now all we're going to do is build up the entire back of the statue on top of these 8 back blocks, very similar to how we built up the entire front of the statue on top of those front 8 blocks. So for the second row of the back of your statue, do this. Starting from the left, do 1 blue clay, then 2 magenta, 2 blue clay, 2 magenta, 1 blue clay. Then for the next 4 rows, do 1 purple, 2 magenta, 2 purple, 2 magenta, 1 purple. And like I said, that's for 4, so that'll be the first, second, third, fourth, and then you just want to apply all of those rows onto that first row. So just build up each one of those blocks by 3 until you have 4 rows of the same. Then for the next 3 rows, do 4 dark grey in the 4 center spots of your row, and then just do black everywhere else. And like I said, that's for 3, so that'll be the first, second, third, and now we've just got to build up each one of those colours. So we've just got the black there. There you go. Once you've done that, you then for the next row want to do an entire row of black wool. For the next row, do 4 dark grey in the 4 center spots of your row, and then do black everywhere else. For the next row, do an entire row of magenta wool. For the next row, place a single purple on the ends of your row, and then magenta everywhere else. For the next row, do a single dark grey on the ends of your row, and then do a magenta everywhere else. We've now reached the point in which all we have to do to complete the rest of the back of the statue is we've just literally got to copy the front of the statue onto the back. So for this next row, you guys can see we can just look directly forward at what we did, and we can just copy it exactly onto the back of the statue. So that's literally all you have to do now. And that includes the back of the arms, by the way. I don't know why, guys. It's kind of weird that the front of the statue is actually the exact same as the back, but hey, I'm not complaining. So to knock out this next part, literally just look directly forward at what you did for the front of your statue and just copy it directly onto the back of your statue, just as I'm doing now. It might be easier for you if you kind of do it systematically like I'm doing, if you just kind of do it like row by row, just going from like left to right and right to left, kind of like a typewriter, if you kind of just build it up like this. But all that matters in the end is that from that point on that I showed you guys, that the back of the statue is just the exact same as the front, which doesn't make any sense to me, but hey, I didn't design the statue. Marvel slash Minecraft slash Mojang slash whoever did. So what you want to end up with for the back is something that should look, and I'll get the legs in there as well, that should look exactly like this. Again, striking resemblance to the front, but hey, I didn't design the thing. Once you've got that back part taken care of, all we have to do now, like I mentioned, is the backs of the arms, which are again the exact same as the arms on the front. All you have to do is just copy the position and the blocks and the positions of the blocks and just apply them to the back of the statue, just in the relevant places, and that's it. You just have to literally just copy what you have for the front of the arms onto the back of the statue, which is exactly what I'm doing now. It's just as we did with that actual back part, and we're now just doing the exact same things for the arms. So I'm just copying every single block onto the back of the statue in the equivalent place on the back, and I'm just building them up, and it's as simple as that. So just got this white clay to add, and then the entire back will be done. So what you want to end up with is something that should look exactly like this. Once you have fully completed the back of your statue, we now have the fun of doing the sides of the statue. So come all the way over to this side of your statue first of all, and come all the way down to the bottoms of the feet. First, we're going to be building up on top of this left block in a straight line going up, and then we'll do the exact same thing for the right. So on top of this blue clay block going directly up, do one blue clay, then 3 magenta, 1, 2, 3, 1 purple, and then make the entire rest of the leg black wool, just like that. You then, for the next row, starting from on top of this right block, want to do 1 blue clay, then 4 magenta, 1, 2, 3, 4, followed by 3 dark grey, 1, 2, 3, and then fill the rest of the leg in with black wool. So you want to end up with something that should look a little bit like this. Once you've got that taken care of, we can now move up to the arms. So first of all, we've just got to fill in the bottoms of the arms, and all you really want to do is just match the colours that you have on the bottoms of the arms first of all. So where you have black, you just want to match black, and where you have white clay, you just want to match white clay, so on and so forth, just for the bottom of the hand. And you actually want to do the exact same thing going all the way up the side of the arm as well. So where we have black here, we want to place black, where we have purple here, place purple, magenta, white clay, so on and so forth, just going all the way up the side of the arm. Whatever colour you have on the left and right hand side of you, just match that colour into those two centre blocks. And then when you get all the way up to the top of the shoulder, you then just want to completely fill in the top of the shoulder, the top of the arm, in with white clay, just like that. Very, very simple. And what you want to end up with is something that should look a little bit like this. It's really, really easy, and the reason that that went fast is just because you just have to match the colour on the left and right hand side. I'm sure that you guys won't have any trouble with that. So once you've got that first side taken care of, you now want to move all the way over onto the opposite side of your Hawkeye, and we now want to do the exact same thing on this side of the statue, and I do mean literally the exact same thing. All you have to do this side of your statue is just look directly forward at what you did on that side and just copy it onto this side. It's as simple as that. As you can see, leg is exactly the same, and of course the arms are the same as well. We've just got to match the colors here in any case whatsoever. So if for some reason you struggled with the leg, which I'm sure you won't, when you get to the arms, it's just a case of just matching the color on the left and right hand side of you. So I'm just doing that. I'm doing it as quickly as possible because it's really simple, and what you want to end up with is something that should look exactly like this. As you guys can see, this side is identical to the other side, and once you do have both sides of your Hawkeye statue 100% fully complete, this is what you want to do next. So come all the way to the front of your statue and come all the way up to the top of Hawkeye's torso. Take out your purple wool and stack a row of 8 purple wool on top of that top row of Hawkeye's torso, like this. Once you have that first row of purple placed, you then want to add an additional row directly in front of that row of purple. You then want to take out your white clay, and you want to place a row of white clay in front of that second row of purple. This is going to be the first row of Hawkeye's face, so once you place this row of white clay, we're now going to start building on top of it, going up rather than out. So for the second row of Hawkeye's face, place 2 brown clay in the 2 center spots of the row, and then place white clay everywhere else. I know that that's not technically called brown clay, but it's called grey clay. It's brown though, trust me. I'm pretty sure. That's not grey. It can't be. Anyway, for the next row, you then want to do an entire row of white clay. For the next row, starting from the left hand side, do 1 light clay, 2 magenta, 2 white clay, 2 magenta, 1 white clay. For the next row, do 1 purple, 1 white, 1 black, 2 purple, 1 black, 1 white, 1 purple. For the next row, do 1 magenta, 1 purple, 1 magenta, 2 purple, 1 magenta, 1 purple, 1 magenta. For the next row, do 1 magenta, 1 purple, 4 magenta, 1 purple, 1 magenta. For the next row, do 2 purple, 4 magenta, 2 purple, and once you've taken care of that row, you have actually fully completed Hawkeye's face. Once you've got that taken care of, we can now move all the way around to the back of Hawkeye's head, and we can now build up the rest of his head. So with your purple wool, starting from this first initial row of 8 purple wool that started off the head, you want to take that first row and you want to extend it back over the back of the statue until it overhangs the back of the statue by 2 rows. Like this. So just to give you guys a side view, you just want that first initial row of purple extending back over the back of the statue by 2, like so. Once you've done that, we can now build up on top of this back row of 8 purple. So for the second row of the back of Hawkeye's head, just do an entire row of purple wool. You then, for the next row, want to do 6 purple in the 6 center spots of the row, and then do magenta on the very ends. For the next row, do a row of 4 purple in the 4 center spots of the row, and then do magenta everywhere else. So that is all of the detail that the back of the head actually requires. So once you've done that, you now want to come to each side of the head, and you just want to add a single row of purple on each side of the head, a horizontal row just connecting the back of the head and the front of the head like that. Once you've added one of those rows of purple on the left and right hand side of the head, you now want to come to the back, and with your magenta wool, you basically just want to raise up each end of that last row that we placed, raise it until it is equal height with the front of the head, with the top of Hawkeye's face. Connect each one of those rows to Hawkeye's face, connect them together to form a cube shape, and then just completely fill in the head with magenta, just like this. In simple terms, turn the head into a big giant cube and fill it in with magenta once you've added all of the detail on the back of the head and on the sides of the head, which there's really not too much whatsoever. So we're just going to now fill in each of these sides of the head with magenta. Then we're going to add the pointy things that Hawkeye has on his mask. I'm not entirely sure what those things are supposed to be, but we're adding them anyway because they're there. I really don't know what they're supposed to be, and then we'll be done. So once you've completely filled in Hawkeye's head, once you've completely filled in his mask, it's now time for us to just add those little pointy bits. So come all the way to the front of Hawkeye's face and come all the way up to the top of the head. What you basically want to do is this. You know what, it's just so easy to do this and then show you guys what it should look like. It's only like 5 blocks, so you just want to do this on the top of the front of Hawkeye's head, just in line with the face. On those 2 outer rows, those 2 most out rows, do 3 magenta coming up, and then on the inside of that, just do 2 purple coming up, and there you go. And once you've added those 2 pointy thingies on the front of Hawkeye's face, you've pretty much finished. That is the end of the Hawkeye statue, 100% fully completed. Let's take a look at him, shall we? Let's take a look at what we've made for our Hawkeye. He's an interesting looking statue. I actually think I know how I forgot to make him. It's because I'm not a massive fan of the statue. I don't know, guys. It's a little too vibrant. I kind of wish that for the skin pack they kind of included a modern version of Hawkeye. This is like the old version of Hawkeye where he's wearing this goofy costume with the purple and the magenta and he's bright and he all stands out. I kind of wish that they had the version where he's kind of just like wearing the black and he's not wearing a mask anymore and he's just rolling around with a bow and a quiver. That'd be kind of cool. I think I actually know why I didn't make him at the time. I think it's because the statue looks a little bit goofy. It looks a little too I don't know, I'm not a massive fan of it. I usually tell you guys that I really like my statues, and I do, but this one I'm not a massive fan of, but I really should have made him at the time. I really must have meant to, but it must have just slipped my mind. It must have slipped my mind. I can't believe I made Black Widow, Nick Fury, Coulson, made everyone but Hawkeye. But here he is now, in his glory. A little easier to make actually now that we have clay. He does look a little bit better than he would have if I would have made him at the time of the other statues. But hopefully you guys like the statue, hopefully you're happy, hopefully you managed to make it no problem. Thanks for watching guys, and I will see you in the next video.